Hey guys, Big Wheel Dog 82 in soil, and today we're going to continue our part 2 on the amendment series, where we're going to cover leaf mold and hot and cold compost. So thanks for coming back. If you've already seen part 1, I'm hoping that breaking this up into 2 separate parts makes it a little bit easier to digest. So let's go ahead and get into our part 2. Thanks. Now what you have here is my compost pile, which is typically a hot compost pile, but since these are all the leaves and garden waste that I put in here in the fall, at this point right now it's a cold compost pile. So if I wanted to, I could just leave this here, continue adding things to it as the spring progresses, and just forget about it, and that'll be a cold compost pile. But what I will end up doing is when it's about time for the grass to get mowed and then I can go get a load of horse manure, I will then pull everything out of here, mix everything up thoroughly, and throw it back in here and let it get hot. So it will become the compost pile that I have to turn every so often, and that's, compost is compost. So you have that as an option as preparing for this growing season, or preparing for the fall, which you could have nice compost ready for the fall, or for next season. So in this trash can here, I think I've showed it one time before, but in here is my compost. So my compost that I made last year, which this is my fall compost for me to use in spring. So this will be added to anything that I need compost for. And then once I get the compost pile that you saw over in the corner just a little bit ago, once I get that set up and I'm ready to rock and roll, that'll be compost. And it'll go in here too. And the thing I like about having it over here is, if you can see, there's worms working on this. They've been working on it all winter. Well, probably not all winter, but when I move it over here, that's why. So I can start having the worms working on it and making it even better than it was when I pulled it out. It will also get sifted, potentially, depending on what I'm using it for. If it's just going into pots that's going to have like big rooted plants, I probably won't sift it. But anything that's fine rooted or needs straight roots like carrots, I will. So, in the compost. Again, that's not the lazy way to make compost, since it was hot compost. The cool compost is the way. But even with cool compost, eventually it will look like what was in the trash can here. Another form of compost that you can do, which takes literally no energy or effort to do, and you can also have it done by neighborhood kids or your own kids, is right here. It's called leaf mold. And so it was stacked up at least as high as the top of this trash can, a little bit higher in the beginning of fall. And now the leaves that don't look that broken down are just a year old. There's stuff that's underneath of it that's 2 years old. So in lieu of that and wanting to utilize that leaf mold that's underneath, I will be digging this out, getting all the finished leaf mold that there is under there, and then stuffing the leaves right back. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I don't necessarily want to wait. I'm too impatient for a couple more years for it to be a stack of leaf mold about, midway up this trash can here before I start using it. So I'm going to dig it out and utilize it this year, and then I'll probably just let it sit for another couple of years after this next coming fall, and then go from there and see what my garden is and if I actually need it. The more I need it, the faster I will actually pull it out. That's it on the leaf mold. Another way that I do the cold compost, also with leaves, it's the same thing, but It just having a practical use for the leaves while they're there is here. So I have 3 tubs that all have garlic in it, and what I've done is I've shredded the leaves and I've dumped it all around the garlic as a insulator from the winter. Obviously a lot of it's blown away, but the bonus of this is this will give me leaf mold way faster than the pile over there. So those are 2 options to do the same thing. This obviously takes a little bit more work. You got to chop up the leaves really fine and then throw them in there, and you also have to have a container like this unused children's kiddie pool, and you can do it that way. Wow, see? Told you. It's not that hard, not too complicated, and things like compost can be as easy as you want it to be. While both of the compost ideas, which are the leaf mold and the compost being a cold compost, take some time, that's unfortunately most times what you're going to have to give up. So as far as their utility of both cold compost and leaf mold, they're just as good as it can get, even if maybe even better in some regards. With leaf mold, it's a natural process, and what you get can either be used as a mulch, or if you refine it even more by running it through your worm bin, then you can make that an amendment that you actually mix into the soil. And as far as the cold compost, believe it or not, it actually keeps more of the nutrients than a hot compost does. A hot compost tends to burn off a lot more of the nutrients than a cold compost does. But it just depends on which matters more to you, whether you want it faster, slower, or whether you are physically able to even do it. So, and then, like I said, the worm bin, it's easy. You pretty much set it up like I showed you, and it's almost a forget it idea. You throw in some tidbits here and there, maybe add a little bit more bedding so that they can both live in and eat, and before you know it, 3-4 months later, you can start using those castings. So that's all I've got for you guys today, and I hope that you found this informative and helpful. If you have any other questions, just let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to respond. So with that, I'm Big Will Dog 82 in the soil, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.